Hello everyone. Welcome to your easy guide to English section for CLAT examination series. And today we are starting a new topic, that is sentence correction and error spotting techniques. Now this is one of the most important parts of this lecture series, because in this we'll learn how we can spot errors and how we can correct the sentence. Because in the examination most of the students do not lose marks because they don't know the grammar rules. That's not the case. They know the grammar rules, they've studied, but in the time pressure they often miss on the tiny errors that are there hidden in the sentences, and that's the place where they lose marks. So it's really important that we do these rules again, and we try to understand how we can apply them in trying to spot the errors and correct the sentence and attend the questions accordingly. So most of the rules and topic part of the lecture we have already done in different lectures, but I've sort of compiled them at one place. So this is going to be a sort of revision also, and also an application how we are going to apply them in solving the questions. Okay, so let's start with subject verb agreement. So the first rule says that subject verb agreement means the verb must agree with the subject in number and person. So of course, as the phrase itself is clear, the subject and the verb, they should have an agreement that okay, you're talking about this person, I'm also talking about the same person. If the same person is in plural, then I'll also be in plural. If the person is in singular, I'll also be in singular. So there should be an agreement of sorts. Okay, so if the subject is singular, the verb will be singular, and hence the verb will be ending with an s. If the subject is plural, the verb will be plural, and hence the verb will not have an s ending. Okay, so remember, first identify the subject. Let's look at some examples. She works hard. So she is the subject, singular subject, so singular verb, works, ending with an s. They work late hours. They is plural, they is the subject, plural, and hence the verb should also be plural. So the verb will not have an s ending. They work late hours. The boy runs fast. What is the subject? The boy. Subject is singular. So the verb will also be singular, and hence the verb will end with s. The boy runs fast. The boys run fast. Here the subject is the boys. They are it's plural, so the verb will also be plural. So there is no s after a run. So it's the boys run fast. Okay, simple enough. Now let's look at the rule 2. If two subjects are joined by and, the verb is plural. Okay. Ravi and Ramesh are best friends. So it's not Ravi and Ramesh is best friend. The verb is are. That is plural. My mother and father work in a hospital. So again, there is no s after work. So it is plural. My mother and father work in a hospital. So the verb is plural. Jan, John, and Bob walk to the store. Again, it doesn't depend how many subjects are there, but if it is joined by and, the verb will be plural. So, Bob and his brother walk to the store. So, we see that these verbs are not s ending because they are plural. Although there is a exception, if two items refer to the same person or idea, consider them as singular. For example, the president and the party leader, Mr. Smith, is coming to the institute today. Now, president and party leader, that means the same person. This same person is being talked about. He is president as well as the party leader. So that is why here the verb is one, despite we have used and. But since the person is just one, so the verb will also be one. Okay, I hope the difference is clear. Now, rule 3. When subjects are joined by or, nor, either or, neither nor, the verb agrees with the subject closest to it. So either the teacher or the students are responsible. So the verb are will agree with the subject that is closest, that is students. So students is in plural, so we will use the plural verb, that is are. Neither the boys nor girls were at fault. So the subject closer to the verb is girls. It is in plural. So we use plural verb, that is were. Neither she nor I am interested in the project. So again, I is singular, so we use am. So remember, always check the subject after or nor. Okay, it's very simple. So whenever these or nor, either or type phrases are used, you always look for the subject that is closer and use the verb according to that subject. Now, rule 4. Certain words are always singular, even if they sound plural. For example, each, everyone, someone, anybody, nobody, anything or anything. These are all singular and they take singular verb. Each of the girls is talented, because while we see there is an S, it looks like it's plural, girls, but we are not talking about all the girls. We are talking about every single girl. So the unit becomes one girl. I'm sorry for saying the word unit, but I'm just trying to explain that every single girl is being talked about. So at one point we're pointing at one girl. This is talented, this is talented, this is talented, this is talented. You can picture it like that. Okay. So when we say each of the girls is talented, because at by the use of word each, we are pointing at every girl individually. So that is why the singular verb is used. Similarly, everyone wants to succeed. Wants is the singular form of verb. So everyone. So not all at once, but every single person. So everyone. So these words are always singular because they are pointing at one from the whole group at a time. So while you will think of a group, but just think of it like these words make point at one at in the group at one point. That is why the verb is singular. They look like they are following the plural verb because girls, everyone, it feels like everyone is like so many people are being talked about. So it gives an appearance of plural, but be very cautious when you come across these words. They will always be followed by singular verbs. Okay, nobody knows the answer. Again, singular verb that is knows. Okay. Some words are always plural. Words like many, few, several, both always refer to more than one. So just like the previous ones, they were always referring to more to singular. These words always refer to plural. So many students have passed the examination. So here again, it's quite simple. There is not much confusion in this. So many students. So the verb in agreement will be plural. Have passed the exam. Few people know the truth. Again, few people. It's always a group of people. So plural. So few people know the truth. Both brothers live abroad. So again, both brothers, like two brothers are being talked about at one point. So again, live abroad. Plural form of verb. Okay, simple enough. Some words can be singular or plural depending on the context. So some words are always singular, some words are always plural, and some words can be singular or plural depending on the context. Words like all, some, most, and none, they depend on whether the thing that being referred to is countable or not or uncountable. We talked about it. Countable are the words that we can count, they are measured in number, and uncountable that words that give a sense of amount. So they are not measured in number but in amount. Okay. For example, some of the milk is spoiled. Now, milk is uncountable. If you you measure milk in amount and not number. So it's not like give me two milk, give me three milk. Two packets of milk can be there, but the milk itself is uncountable. So when it is uncountable, when some used with uncountable, it is the verb following it will be singular because uncountable is something you think you imagine them in unit. You don't think of them as individual packets. No, milk. You if you just try to picture milk, so you'll just think of white liquid somewhere in the bottle. So in the bottle, a bottle of milk when it is put inside a bottle, it becomes countable. But the milk inside is not countable. You don't know how much. You cannot give a number for the milk inside a bottle. So uncountable things almost feel like one unit. So they feel like a singular thing. So they are always singular. Some of the cookies are missing. So cookies again, some is the word that has been used, but you have to pay attention to the context. I mean, whether the subject is countable or uncountable. So cookies are countable. So we'll use the word. Similarly, all of the money was stolen. So money is uncountable. While you can count the notes, while you can count the coins, but the money as a whole is uncountable. So all of the money was stolen. All the people were invited. So, okay, I hope this is clear. Rule 7 for collective noun. So, a collective noun like team, committee, family, crowd, it is usually singular, but it can be plural depending on the sense. So, this is also very question friendly section. So, please read this rule with a lot of caution and just remember it. So the team is winning. So here team is seen as one unit. When we say team is winning, you think of suppose Indian cricket team, you think of all the players at one go. But when I say the team are arguing among themselves, why we when we I'm saying arguing, you'll think of all the different players and they are like talking to each other. So this time you'll think of team in terms of individuals. So when you're thinking when the situation is such that you are you have to think of team as individuals rather than as one. In that case, it becomes the same collective noun becomes plural. Okay, the team are arguing among themselves because individuals sometimes like almost like individuals can be pictured now. So when the collective noun is acting in unison, in unity, in one direction, then it is singular. But when the constituents of the collective are not acting in unity, it is treated as plural. Let's look at another example. The jury gives its verdict. So again, gives its verdict means the jury has reached at one united decision, and it has, based on that decision, the jury has given its verdict. So jury is becomes one collective unit. The jury have differing opinions. That means all the members of jury have different opinions. Now you are forced to see at the individuals in the jury. And in this case, jury becomes plural. So jury have differing opinions. So use singular when the group acts as one and plural when members act individually. So the noun will depend on how the verb will depend on how the collective noun is acting. Okay, if it is united, then singular verb. If the collective noun is not acting in unison, then a plural verb. Okay, simple enough. When the subject is a unit of measurement of time, distance, money, weight, etc., then the unit is considered singular. So the verb will also be singular. So 10 pounds of chocolate is too much to eat at a time, at once. So again, it's a unit of measurement. So 10 pounds, although it seems like a plural, but 10 pounds of chocolate, again, if you are try to picture 10 pounds of chocolate, you will think of one bag full of it or one unit. So whenever some sort of unit of measurement, time or distance is used, it sort of gives up what do you say, a bag, or it's kind of gives a box to the whole subject, and that's why it feels like one singular thing. So 13 feet of kite string tangles very easily. So again, you think of this whole string in a like a one singular subject. Okay, if you can think it like that in terms of picturing it, then you this is one way to understand it. Or otherwise, just remember that unit of measurement, time, distance, money, and weight, they are always considered singular. So the verb will also be singular. Okay. Now, rule 9. In question or sentences that begin with there or here, the subject comes after the verb, and the verb will still agree with the subject. Okay, so it doesn't matter that verb is coming first, but is irrespective of the position of the verb, it will be agreeing with the subject. For example, there is a pen on the table. Now, pen is coming after the verb is, but still the verb is will be in agreement with the subject. So the subject and verb are like the couple. They have the best compatibility. So you remember subject and verb as the couple goals. That's how you can remember. So they have the best compatibility and they will always be in agreement. It doesn't matter whether the verb is coming first or whether the subject is coming first, they will always be in agreement. Okay. So there is a pen on the table. There are many books in the room. So the subject book is coming after the verb are, but still the verb will be in agreement with the subject book, which is in plural. So are. Where are your friends? Again, friends is plural subject, so are plural verb. Here comes the bus. Singular subject bus, singular verb comes. Okay. Rule 10. When a phrase comes between subject and the verb must agree with the original subject and not with the nouns in the intervening phrase. So again, since they are couple goals, even if some third grammatical device or some third part of speech tries to come in between, the agreement will still be with the original subject. So their compatibility is not going anywhere. For example, the bouquet of roses smells delightful. So here the subject is bouquet. So bouquet, it doesn't mean if it's a bouquet of chocolate, bouquet of roses, whatever kind of bouquet it is. The subject bouquet will be in agreement with the verb smell, and they will be in agreement. So it doesn't mean beach mein roses aa raha hai, whether the roses is coming in between or chocolate is coming in between, doesn't matter. And whether roses is in plural or singular, nobody cares. The word fell in love with the original subject, and the verb will be in agreement with the original subject, that is bouquet. So the bouquet is a singular, so the verb will also be singular. So the bouquet of roses smells delightful. So we just ignore the roses. We look at what the main original subject bouquet is. Okay, the captain along with his crew was rescued. Again, we have to look at the original verb, that original subject, that is the captain. So the captain is singular, so we will say was rescued. Bishka along with the his crew, we don't really care. So you can remember that you can ignore phrases like along with, as well as, in addition to, etc. when determining subject verb agreement. They are couple goals. They don't care about other figure of speeches. Now, the last rule, or I hope this is the last one. No, this is not the last one. Sorry. So for titles of the books, movies, and other works, even if they appear in plural in form, they take singular verb. Simple. The Chronicles of Narnia is a popular series. So while if it were not the title, Chronicles is in plural, and we would be like we would need to use plural verb, but since it's a title of the book, it will always be used, it will always be followed by a singular verb. Similarly, Gulliver's Travel was written by Jonathan Swift. So title of the books, movies, other works, they are, even if they are plural in form, they will always take a singular verb. Simple enough. Again, the last, now this is the last rule for sure. Yes, this is the last rule. So expressions like a lot of, a number of, and the majority of can be singular or plural based on the noun that they refer to. For example, a lot of cake has been eaten. So cake is uncountable. But a lot of cakes have been eaten. Here cake, because we are talking about multiple cakes, so number of cakes can be counted and it becomes plural. So when uh, the noun is countable, uncountable. We've talked about it in previous rules also. When it is uncountable, then the verb will be singular, because like you cannot divide and look at the individual parts of it. But when it is countable and you can look at like multiples of it, then the verb will be plural. So expressions like a lot of, a number of, the majority of, depends on whether they are being followed by plural noun or a, sorry, countable noun or uncountable noun. The verb will depend on that. Okay, I hope this is clear. So a lot of water is wasted every day. So water is uncountable, so singular verb. A lot of information has been shared. So again, information is uncountable, so singular verb has. A lot of students were present in the class. So uncountable, sorry. Students, countable, you can count the number of students. So plural verb were. A lot of books have been donated. Again, books countable. So it will be followed by verbs, plural verb. Okay, have and not has. So I hope this is clear. Now let's move on to the next topic, that is tense consistency. Now, this is again a very important topic from which a lot of questions of spot the error type of questions can be created. So, we've done tenses as a whole section. So, some of the rules might be repeated, but some of them I have compiled with some new rules so that we have a whole compilation of the rules in one lecture. So, we can just revise them and practice the questions. Okay. So, let's start with the first rule. Keep the tense uniform in a single time frame. So when you're describing actions that are happening at the same time, keep the tense consistent. So in one time frame, do not shift the tenses. Now let's look at some examples and try to understand what this rule is saying. So she entered the room and talks to me. Now she entered the rooms. The tense of the first part is in the past tense, and talks to me is in the present tense. So you're shifting in this one statement. There are two tenses present. So this is wrong. That's why this statement is incorrect. The correct form of the statement would be she entered the room and talked to me. So entered and talked, both the verbs are in past tense. So this is the correct. They were dancing and sing at the same time. So dancing is in the continuous form, in the past continuous form. So sing should also be in the continuous form. So they were dancing and singing at the same time. So you can see now that in one sentence you are supposed to keep both the verbs in the same form, in the same tense. You cannot shift the first part in one tense and the other part in the another tense. He wakes up, brushed his teeth, and has breakfast. Again, wakes up, brushed his teeth, and has breakfast. All the three are going in their own direction. No, he woke up, brushed his teeth, and had breakfast. So all the three are in past tense now. So that is making sense. So now again, let's look at the rule. When describing actions that happen at the same time, keep the tense consistent. So waking up, brushing, and having breakfast, they should all be in the same tense. So you should keep the tense consistent in the single time frame. Okay. Now rule 2. Shift tenses only when the time frame changes. So if one time frame is there, you have to keep consistent tense. But if the time frame changes, then you can shift the tenses. Now let's look at the examples. She told me she likes ice cream. Okay. So told is past, likes is present. So we see two time frames are here. So she told me she liked ice cream. So told and liked in the same tense. He said he will come tomorrow. So he said is past and will come is future. So that is again correct because the coming is going to happen. It has not happened, yes. So in this case, he will come tomorrow. We can talk about it in future tense. So here, while the past and future are again present, the time frame, there are two time frames are being talked about. One, that when he was telling me, and the fact that this person is going to come. So since this action of him coming is has not happened yet, it has to happen in future tense. So there these two time frames are present. Only then we can shift tense. So he said he will come tomorrow. So past and future. In this case, it's fine. I saw that he is nervous. I saw that he was nervous. So, I mean, when the statement is being said, when the act of seeing is done, it is in that moment only it's clear that this person is is nervous. So, in both the things are happening in the same time frame. So, that is why in this case, both will be in the past tense. So, I saw that he was nervous. Okay. So, you have to understand the actions involved are happening, whether they are happening in the same time frame or one of the action is going to happen in future or one action has already happened. So you have to just understand whatever activity is mentioned, what is the time frame of each activity. So you have to keep them consistent. So if it is going to happen in future, then you can use future, but otherwise in one time frame if it is happening, then you have to keep consistent tense. Okay. Now rule 3, use present tense for universal truths or habits. So some facts are always true regardless of the narrative's tense. So these facts should always be kept in a present tense. So for example, the teacher said that water boiled at 100 degrees centigrade. Now it's a fact. It's a universal truth. The fact that water boils at 100 degree. So now this fact will always be presented in the present tense. It will not be in past or any other tense. So universal truths or regular habits, they are always in present tense. In fact, when we were doing tenses, this was the very first rule that we did. The simple present tense or the universal truths and habits are in simple present tense. So these universal truths and habits will always be irrespective of whatever the way narrator is speaking. This will always be in the simple present tense. Okay. The teacher said that water boils at 100 degree. That would be the correct form. He explained that birds migrate in winter. So again, it's a general habit. Like this is a regular occurrence. So this will also be in present tense only. Okay. He explained, although the explanation was in the past, but always the the universal truth or the habit part will always be in the present tense. She said honesty was the best policy. So like, is it not the best policy anymore? It is always the best policy. So she said honesty is the best policy. So even if said is there, you might say that okay, based on the previous rules, said should always be accompanied with was because they should be in the same time frame. No, when universal truth or habits are being talked about, then they will always be in the present form. Okay, you understand how it is different from the previous two rules? So truth doesn't age, it always keeps true. Keep it in the present. So honesty was the best policy, honesty is the best policy, honesty will always be the best policy. So keep it in the present, that it stays true. So if it stays true always, so keep it in the present tense. Okay. Now rule 4, use past perfect for earlier past action. When two actions happened in the past, use past perfect. So that is had plus third form of verb for the one that occurred first. So when in the past perfect tense, we have discussed this before, that two actions happen. So if we have to understand which action happened first, so we have to use tenses accordingly. So when two actions happened in past, use past perfect for the second action. Let's look at some examples and understand it better. I went to the station after the train left. Now there are two actions here: me going to the station and the train leaving. Now in order now when I read this sentence, I went to the station after the train left. I cannot understand. I mean, I can, but it is still not completely making sense that which action happened first. So in this case, the action which happened first will always be written in had plus third form of verb. So I went to the station after the train had left. So the train had left. The train has already left. Now it is very clear in the statement. And after it had left, it is then I reached the station. So I went to the station after the train had left. So the action that has happened first will be in form of had plus third form of verb. By the time we arrived, the movie started. So the movie started like it's not making sense. So by the time we arrived, the movie had started. So the action of movie starting happened first. So we will say had plus third form of verb, and the action that we arrive is the second. So it stays like that only. By the time we arrive, the movie had started. He completed the assignment before the teacher asked. He had completed the assignment before the teacher asked, because the act of completing the assignment happened first. So the if two actions are happening in past perfect, for earlier action we will use always had plus third form of verb. So use the past perfect for the first action and use simple past for the second action. Okay. Rule 5, talking about direct and indirect speech. So in direct speech, the tense stays the same. But in indirect speech, match it with the reporting verb's tense. So she said, I am tired. So fine, she said, I am tired. So said and tired both are in the past tense. So it's correct. Now this is direct speech. In indirect speech, she said that she was tired. Now we see that the reporting verbs tense is said, that is past, and then was. So we will use was, that is also past tense. So both the tenses are consistent now. So in the indirect speech, we look at the reporting verbs tense, and accordingly we will choose the other verbs tense also. Okay. So she said, which is said is in past, and hence we'll use was, that she was tired. Okay. He said, I will help you. So in the direct speech, it is fine. You can just quote unquote copy the statement. But in indirect speech, he said that he would help me. So when the reporting verb said is in past, so the other verb will also be would. Will become would in the reporting in the reported or sorry in the indirect or the reported speech. So the tense only shifts if the reporting verb is in the past tense, example said or told. If the reporting verb is in the present tense, example says, then the tense doesn't change. For example, he says I am tired. So in the indirect speech, he says he is tired. So in this, we see the reporting verb says stays as it is. So even the second verb will also stay as it is. So it will also become is and not was. Okay. So in indirect speech we have to pay attention to the reporting verb, in whichever tense it is, we will report the second part also in the same tense, because we have to keep all the tenses in a consistent manner. Okay. So there is one more thing, that sometimes what students do is that they take the quote unquote portion even in the indirect speech. That is absolutely wrong. For the indirect speech, it is also called the reported speech. That is, the person who has said this is not present and the second person is reporting it. So quote unquote statement cannot be completely copied in the reported speech. So if a statement says he said that quote unquote I go to school daily, it is incorrect. Why? Because you're using indirect speech structure. He said that and then quote unquote following, so you're inserting a direct quote inside it. So it is, you're mixing sort of direct and indirect speech. So he said I go to school daily, and in the indirect form it will become he said that he went to school daily. Why went? Because the reported speech the reported verb is said. So it I go to school will become I he went to school. Okay. Now rule 6, use present tense after time conjunctions like when, before, after, until, as soon as, even if the main action is in future. Now let's see what this rule is saying with the help of an example. I will call you when I will reach. So we are seeing that will has been repeated. That is incorrect. Even if the reaching is to happen in future, we do not need to put a will after reach, because in the first part itself the will has been used and it gives an implication that the second statement is also about future. So we don't need to use will again. Is it making sense? Okay, let's look at another example. We will go home after the rain will stop. So the fact that we will go home and the after and the second portion is going to happen after, so it is obviously, it is implied that this is going to be a future thing. So if both the things are in future things that way and it is joined by the time conjunctions, so pay attention to the fact that it has to be joined by the time conjunctions, because these are called time conjunctions because they're already pointing to the future. When this happens, before, after, until, as soon as. So in this case, because they are already pointing towards time, we do not need to use will again. Okay, so the correct form will be we will go home after the rain stops. We don't have to say we will go home after the rain will stop. No, after the rain stops. He will start the show as soon as the guests will arrive. This is incorrect. Okay, we do not need to use will again when we have used a time conjunction. So the correct form will be he will start the show as soon as the guests arrive, because it is as soon as is the time conjunctions, so we do not need to repeat the will. Okay, because the time conjunctions already signal that we are talking about the future, so repeating will inside the clause is not necessary. So there are two clauses joined by time conjunction, so if the time conjunction is already indicating to future, so we do not need to use will to indicate to future, because the time conjunction is already doing that. So in this rule you should know what time conjunction are, and if the time conjunction is used, you do not need to use will twice. Okay, so I will call you when I will reach is wrong. I will call you when I reach, because the when itself is indicating that this is going to be in future. So we do not need to use will again before reach. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now, if it is clear, let's try to do some questions and check for real if it is really clear. So I would urge you to pause this video at this point, because this is an important topic and a lot of questions come from this spot the error kind of question. So please pause the video at this point and just try to attempt this question on your own, and after that we'll do the questions together. Okay. Okay, I hope you have, because I know that not a lot of time has passed, but I hope you had paused the video and you've done the questions. And let's now look at the solution. So she walked into the room and sees her old friend standing there. So what is wrong? She walked into the room. Now walked is in the past tense. So sees should also be in the past tense. That is, it should become saw. So that the tense in both the part of the statements is in consistent manner. So she walked into the room and saw her old friend standing there. Okay, that would be the correct sentence. He was driving to the office when he hears the news on the radio. Again, both the actions should be in the are happening in the same time frame, so they should be in the consistent used in the consistent manner, because they are used in they are happening in the same time frame. So he was driving to the office when he heard the news on the radio. Okay, I was watching TV when suddenly the lights go out. So this is again tense mismatch. I was watching the TV when suddenly lights went out. So go will become went. Okay. The teacher explained the concept clearly and asks if we had any question. So of course explained and asks not the same time, not the consistency that the tense should maintain. The teacher explained the concept clearly and asked if we had any question, because explained is in past, so asked should also be in the past to maintain the tense consistency. Question 5. She told me that she's tired and wanted to rest. Now, told, wanted, everything is in the past tense. So, what is this is? The present tense is doing in this between these past tense people. So, is out of like is the odd one out. So, you should convert is also in the past so that it is in consistency with the past tense word told and wanted. So, she told me that she was tired and wanted to rest. Question 6. After he finishes his homework, he went out to play. Now finishes and went, they don't know each other because they do not belong to the same caste, that is same tense. So very casteist approach to English grammar we are taking. So the correct sentence would be after he finished his homework, he went out to play. So finished and went. Now they understand each other because they both belong to the past tense. Finishes and want, they did not recognize each other because they do not belong to the same biradari. That is the same tense. So went is past and finishes should become finished to become past. So that their kundlis match and they get married. They were discussing the plan while he types the email. Now discussing and types is not the right match. I feel like a pandit that I'm matchmaking here. But if you can be a good pandit and do the matchmaking between the subject verb agreement and the tenses consistency, you will become the legal pandit also that you want to become. So just try to remember these things in whatever manner you can. Okay. So they were discussing the plan while he types the email. No, discussing should also be in the same tense as the type. So they were discussing the plan while he typed the email. So were discussing in past continuous, type should also become typed to maintain the consistency. As soon as the guests arrived, she serves them refreshment. It is of course wrong. As soon as the guests arrived, she served them refreshments. So arrived, served, they are both now consistent. So they are both in past. I knew that she wants to travel abroad. Question 9. I knew that she wants to travel abroad. Now knew should be matched with wanted, and wants is not, like they are not, again not same biradari. Knew is in the past, wants is in the present. So I knew that she wanted to travel abroad. So wants become wanted. The last question 10. He had prepared well for the interview but misses it due to traffic. So had prepared well is past perfect. So misses should also become missed. So he had prepared well for the interview but missed it due to traffic. Okay. I hope with this you're getting like a lot more clarity on this subject of tense consistency, that all the tense should, if they are in this happening in the same time frame, they should be of the same biradari. That is, they should be of the same tense. Okay. So with this we have done with the tense consistency. We will now do tense verb form. Okay, from form. So from this also a lot of questions come, and verb is so very, it's a favorite of the examiners. So we've done this, but again, I'll just quickly go through this so we can revise it again and understand tense and verb how they dance with each other. So we know there are four, technically three, but four form of verbs. That is the base verb, the past participle, and the ing form. The base verb is also called the first form of verb, the second form of verb, third form of verb, and ing form of verb. So go is the base form of verb. In past it becomes went. Past participle it becomes gone, and ing form, so as the name suggests, just add ing. So it becomes go, went, gone, going. Similarly, for eat, in the base form, it is eat. For the past, it becomes ate. And for the past participle, it becomes eaten. And in the ing, it becomes eating. Similarly, write, wrote, written, writing. So these are the forms of verb. Based on the context of the statement, they change form. So very chameleon like. You cannot trust them. They keep changing with the context. So that's the thing about verb. So now tenses with verb forms, present tense. We did this table before also. We did this present tense ka table, past tense ka table, and future tense table. So we will again go through this. Uh, so simple present tense, if it is I, you, we, they, we use the first form of verb. If it is he, she, it, we use first form of verb along with s or es. So I eat lunch, but he eats lunch. So in the simple present, it's the first form of verb. But you just have to see that whether it is without s or whether it is with s. Eat or eats. That's the difference. Otherwise, the form of verb is first. In the present continuous, as is clear, ing form of verb along with is, am, or are based on the context. In the, for example, she is eating. She is eating. So here we are using is and ing form of verb eating. Present perfect. This is always in has or have plus third form of verb. We have eaten. Present perfect continuous, has, have, been plus the first form of verb, he has been studying. So the ing form of verb. I'm so sorry what I'm doing. So study is the first form and ing form of study is studying. So this is how it is. I mean, this is the structure. Okay. Uh, Simple present, first form of verb. Present continuous, ing. Present perfect, has, have plus third form, and present perfect continuous, has, have, been plus ing form. Okay. So you can just remember that present continuous is small, so you just use is, am plus ing. When it becomes long, present perfect continuous, then has, have, been plus ing. This is how you can remember. Now simple past, again the second form of verb. Past continuous was verb plus second form of verb. In present it was is, am, are. Now in the past it becomes was verb plus ing form of verb. For past perfect, in the present it was has, have plus third form of verb. In the past perfect it is had plus third form of verb. So she had left before I came. Past perfect continuous, had been plus ing form of verb. In the present perfect continuous it was has been plus ing form of verb. Have or has been plus ing form of verb. Similarly, for simple future, will plus first form of verb. So when we were doing forms of verb, you see that the verb changes form for past, but it doesn't change form for future. So for future, you will always need these will, shall, these kinds of words. Okay. So will plus first form of verb. In the simple past and simple present, it was just first form of verb. But or in the simple present, it was I, we, he, she, it plus first form of verb. In the simple past, it was the sorry, it was the second form of verb. In this, again for future, will plus first form of verb. Okay. Future continuous, will be plus ing form of verb. Future perfect, will have plus third form of verb. And future perfect continuous is again will have been plus ing form of verb. Okay. So the last one, per future, present, past, present, and future. Let's call them X. X perfect continuous is always have been. So for present perfect continuous, it is has or have been. For past perfect continuous, it is has been. And for future perfect continuous, it is will have been along with ing form of verb. Okay. So if you read them in sync, all the three tables, no, you'll see a pattern. So it's not like you'll have to remember each of them separately. You'll understand the pattern. So they are like you can just learn them in series logically. So you'll not have to just cram everything. Okay. Now, after that, let's look at some of the common mistakes because we've done tenses in detail. So I don't think it makes sense to go through it again for an hour or so because we've done it and we've just revised the rules because everything is in just these three tables. If you have clarity about these, then there is not going to be any scope for committing error. So let's look at some of the common mistakes. So she has went to school. Now this is incorrect because we know that has is a auxiliary verb, and when has is there, we always have to use the third form of verb, that is gone. It's go, gone, gone, and going. Go, went, gone. Sorry. Go, go, gone is something that is coming to my mind. Sorry. So go, went, gone, going. So we use the third form of verb, that is gone. So she has went to school is wrong. She has gone to school is the right one. So if has is present, it will always be third form of verb along with it. Okay. So somebody can think that okay, if we remove has and we keep went, she went to school. She went to school is fine grammatically, but it sounds incomplete. She went to school. She went to school yesterday. If that's the statement, then it is correct because we have removed the has, then she and went, then it will complete, then it will become simple past tense. Abhi at this point it is past participle. So she has gone to school. Okay. They was eating dinner. No, of course not. They were eating dinner. They is plural, so it will take were and not was in the past continuous tense. I will going to market. I will go to market because of course after will you always use base form of verb, that is first form of verb. I will go to the market and not I will going to the market. It is like does not making any sense. He had did the work. He had done the work because had requires the third form of verb and the past participle of do is done. So he had done the work. She is go to school, cause not. She is going to school. In present continuous, we use is, are, or am along with third form, ing form. We have saw the Taj Mahal. We have seen the Taj Mahal because have needs third form of verb. So seen. Okay. So if you have clarity on that table, then it's not going to be an issue for you to remember it. Now let's quickly go through this also. The dog dash bark when I opened the gate. So was barking, past continuous. The dog was barking when I opened the gate. They dash leave the city by the time we arrive. They had left the city by the time we arrive, because had left, we are having two actions are happening here, so we have to use had plus the third form of verb to clarify which action is happening first. So they had left the city by the time we arrived. I dash read this novel for 2 hours now. I have been reading this novel for 2 hours for now. Present perfect continuous. She usually dash up at 6 a.m. She usually wakes up. Simple present tense. We dash watch a movie when the lights went out. We were watching a movie when lights went out. So it's again past continuous. Right now he dash uh, give a lecture. Right now he is giving a lecture. So this action is happening in the present, and it's continuous. So present continuous. I dash meet him at the conference last year. So again I met him. Simple past. She dash not come to the party last night. She did not come to the party last night. Simple past. They dash prepare dinner at the moment. They are preparing dinner at the moment. Present continuous. He dash stay with us until he finds a flat. He will stay with us until he finds a flat. So if you understand the table, you will be able to answer all these questions very easily. So just go through these tables. Let's try to put them one by one and see like what is happening from simple present to simple past to simple future. They are all following a similar pattern. IVU, they are like, for simple present follow the first form of verb. Here second form of verb. In past it becomes second form, and in the future it becomes will plus first form. So just write it, just try to write it everything on your own, because if you get a grasp of these three table, the tenses portion will be sorted for you, and it is quite important. I mean, not just for your examination, but your spoken English, your written English, everything. It's very important for communication also. So just go through these tables and you'll be sorted. Now we get to another topic, that is pronoun consistency. So you do see that consistency is very important. Like for your preparation also, if you maintain a consistency, you will be able to score well. So in grammar consistency, in life consistency, consistency is important. You should not keep changing. Okay, not in life, not in preparation, not in philosophy. Maybe in philosophy you grow and you might change, but in value system, so consistency is important. Okay, let's skip the lecture bazi and let's get to the rules. So the first rule is match the pronoun to its antecedent in number, whether it is singular or plural. If the subject is singular, use singular pronoun. If the subject is plural, use plural pronoun. Sounds very simple. So let's look at the example. Every student must bring their ID card. Now, why is this incorrect? Because every student is, we've done this. Every, each, all these words, they point to one amongst many. So when every is used, it is treated as singular. We have already done this even in the previous subject verb agreement rules. So every student must bring his or her ID card. So every student will be treated as singular. So the pronoun following it will also be singular, just like it has been in the case of subject verb agreement, or all the, you have even in the tenses. If one tense is in one time frame is happening in one form, the other tense in the same time frame should also be in the same form, present. Similarly, subject verb, if the subject is in the in one tense, the other subject should also be in that tense. So if the pronoun is to be it has to follow the subject. Okay, I hope it's not getting complicated for you. I mean, what I'm trying to show is that the pattern is same for all the elements, that if for every student you have to treat the pronoun following it also in the same manner as every student is. So every student means each and every student, one student at a time is being pointed, so it is singular. So the pronoun following it is also singular, his or her, depending on the gender. The team lost their match. It is incorrect. Why? Because here team is a collective noun, and when team is seen as one unit, it is treated as singular. So the team lost its match. If we've again done this also before for collective nouns, if the whole collection is acting in unison as one unit, then it is treated as singular. If each and every member or the part of it are in acting in different direction, then they are treated as plural. So the team lost their match. That means the whole team together. So it is treated as singular. So the pronoun following it will also be in the singular. The team lost its match. Each of the girls submitted their forms. Why is it incorrect? Because each of the girls is here, each. The usage of each is pointing to one girl at a time. So that means it is singular. So the pronoun following it will also be singular. So each of the girls submitted her form. Do not be confused by girls. Okay? Not in life, not in statements. So do not be confused that each of the girls submitted. So here the word each is there, no, before girls. That means at one point one girl is being talked about. Like each, this, X, Y, Z, A, B, C. So we are pointing by the use of word each. We are pointing at one person at a time. So please, each and every these words they often confuse students because they might be followed by a plural, but then they are each के साथ they are always singular. Okay, each of the girls submitted her form. Now maintain the same person, that is first, second or third, throughout the sentence. Don't shift between I, you, he, she, they in the same sentence unless necessary. So yeah, like the whole lecture is about just keep it simple, keep it consistent. So let's look at the example. If a person wants to succeed, you must work hard. Like what? Like all of a sudden कहानी बदल दी, जज्बात बदल दिए. If a person wants to succeed, he, she or they, I mean either you say he, she, but now these days they is also used in a gender neutral manner. So you can say if a person wants to succeed, they must work hard. So here they is used for gender neutral, or otherwise it will be he or she. I mean now these days we can use they. Okay. So if a boy wants to succeed, he should work hard. If a girl wants to succeed, she should work hard. If a person wants to succeed, they should work hard. Okay, you understand? When students study hard, you get good grades. Of course not. When students study hard, they get good grade. One should do your duty sincerely. No, one should do one's duty sincerely. So, like both the parts should be in the same consistent manner. One should, then one's duty. Okay. Rule 3. Avoid gender bias in pronouns where possible. So use they as a singular gender neutral pronoun when the gender is unknown or irrelevant. So I think I've already told you. So each applicant should submit their resume. So their here is used in a gender neutral manner. If a doctor is on duty, they must be available for emergencies. So again they, because the doctor can be a male or a female, anyone. Someone left their umbrella in here. So like that. Use pronouns clearly without avoid ambiguity. Make sure it's always clear what or whom your pronoun refers to. This is a very common mistake that students do. For example, when Priya and met Sita, she was happy. Now, who was happy? Priya was happy or Sita was happy? Can you figure out like just by reading this statement? So you have to use the pronouns very clearly so that you are that it gives a clear sense for whom this pronoun has been used. So the statement can be written as Priya was happy when she met Sita. So in this case, now we know that Priya was happy. So in the for example, the second statement, the organizers told the girls that they would get gifts. Now who would get gift? Organizers or the girls? So the organizers told the girls that the girls would get gifts. Now this is clear here that the girls will be the one who will be receiving the gifts. So you have to clarify who they, that the they that has been referenced to in the first, in the incorrect statement. Who is they? You should use the girls. So we understand who is being talked about. Again, Ravi gave Ramesh his book. So like whose book? Ravi gave his own book to Ramesh. So like we in the first statement we do not understand whether it is Ravi's book or is it Ravi, but because of using his own, we understand that Ravi gave his own book to Ramesh. So you should always remember while using some pronoun that when you are using it, it should clearly be indicated for whom this pronoun has been used. Okay. Now quickly spot the error and let's try to finish this because this was just very few rules. So again, I'll just pause for a few seconds and you pause the video and just quickly finish this one. Okay, I hope you've already solved this one. So if someone wants to succeed, they must work hard. If you eat healthy food, you can avoid illness. So you consistent. Each of the girls presented her project confidently. So each of the girls means one girl is being pointed at one point. Do not get confused with the by the plural girls. One must learn to manage one's time well. This one thing is also very frequently committed mistake. One is always followed by one. Okay. Rahul met Arjun at the cafe and Rahul ordered tea. So now we know who actually ordered tea. The company announced that it would expand to new cities. So because the company is treated as singular, so we use it. I think this lecture has already gotten really long. So let's put an end to this at this point and we'll do this topic of parallelism in the next lecture so that you do not doze off by the time we start it. So thank you so much for your patience. Just go through these once more before you switch off your laptop because these are really important. So if you just go through this when this is fresh in your mind, if there are any gaps or inconsistencies in your understanding, it will be clear at this point because every concept is fresh at this point. So thank you so much for your patience and I'll see you again in the next lecture. Thank you. Bye bye.